to hear Vanderbilt women's basketball head coach Shea Ralph. Coach, another top 25 matchup this week. You guys go down to Austin to play Texas for a top 25 SEC matchup. How are y'all preparing for the Longhorns?
I think the main thing we're trying to do right now is focus on the next opportunity we can be on the court to prepare and learn from the game that we just played. So right now we're focusing on our physicality, matching that inside and outside the lane, making sure we defend both as a team and individually a lot better than we have in some of the games that we've struggled with, because it really does start with our defense and rebounding. And then today specifically, we did work a lot on rebounding in a bunch of different ways so that we can start to be a little bit more detailed in our preparation in terms of what we're going to see game to game, but what we're going to see in the SEC from here on out, right? So those are the things that have been popping up consistently enough for us that I felt like we really needed to get more detailed with how we prepare and our practices for that.
I know you mentioned just kind of like not as many tactical issues on Sunday, it was more effort. How do you address effort going forward and making sure your team's prepared in that way? Is it a mental aspect, or how do you kind of go about that?
It's a mental aspect. It's part of growing up. It's part of learning how to overcome adversity. And I think sometimes for kids that don't have enough tools in their toolbox, and that's every kid, right? It manifests itself differently in each human being. That's us too, when you get older. But the more you learn, like, what do I need to focus on when I come up against struggles? How does it manifest in me? How do I handle not performing? Can I still not perform and play with heart and play and be coachable and be a great teammate and do the things that are necessary to push the group forward? That's a huge thing to learn when you are a high-achieving athlete playing on a team. If you can learn those things, then you can play on any team for anyone. And a lot of our kids have aspirations of playing professionally, right? So I would love to sit, I have a lot of wisdom looking back because I've seen it and I had to go through it myself. It took me a lot longer to learn that than I would like to admit. But you have to teach them until they learn. So the moments are hard to go through, but sometimes I think those hardest moments can be your greatest teachers. Now we just have to work on what the tools are, and that's different for each kid, to make sure that we overcome the moment and get better for it.
This past weekend was your annual alumni weekend. How important is that for you every year to bring those players back, and what do you think the team was able to gain from that experience?
I love alumni weekend. It's really cool to be able to honor the people that have laid the foundation of the program, especially at Vanderbilt, because Vanderbilt has a tradition of excellence in women's basketball, and there's some really good players that played here. Also think over the course of the 4 years that we've been here, we have seen the support grow and grow and grow. So we had quite a big group here. We were able to show them the hub, and they loved it, and all the things that are happening now that they've had a big part in helping us achieve, and they're a big part of helping us now do that. And my favorite part about it is they get to talk to our players. So the players understand that they're not alone in the things that they're facing, whether they're successes or failures, and they hear from people who have gone through the same thing. It's certainly helpful this weekend, but it's just a great opportunity for them to learn.
You said a second ago that the path from here on doesn't get any easier.
It doesn't.
Talk about that. Do you approach it from a different aspect of saying, okay, if you think you've seen it all, you haven't?
No, I think I just try to get them to stay focused on the next moment. I say it like stay present, and I'm not trying to be like granola about it or be too like over the top, but it is important to understand that you can't control what just happened. It's over, and the only thing we can control about the future is how we prepare for it today. So it's not like, hey, we have one more game and then, the next two we're going to win. We don't have any game on our schedule like that where we can look at like, oh, that's a definite win. We don't. And nobody in the SEC does. So the beauty of that is you get to find out who you are and what you're made of every single game. And you get to come into every single practice knowing that the next game, your season depends on it. Today, our season depends on the practice that we had today. So there's two ways to look at it. I just try to take it day to day, because it can be overwhelming if you go either way, too far ahead or too far back.
Both Ole Miss and Texas have some bigger, more physical perimeter players specifically. How are you kind of preparing for that after, the way that went on Sunday?
Yeah, we really worked today on making sure that we led with physicality, not waiting for people to throw the first punch, not waiting for them to cut into our bodies, defending one-on-one, rebounding, meeting people first. Hitting them first is what I say, but that doesn't sound great. So like, physicality first, right? And I thought there were moments where we did that against Ole Miss, and then there were moments where we didn't that seemed to snowball. And that's what can't happen. So is it going to go perfectly on Thursday? No. There are going to be moments where we fail or falter, we don't rotate, maybe they hit us first, but it can't happen for quarters or halves or entire games. And I think if we can figure that part out, which is possible and doable right now, then we'll be okay.
What's it kind of like getting ready for a new team in the SEC that you haven't faced before as a coach of Vanderbilt?
It's fun. I mean, I love getting ready for all of the teams because they're great players. They're all different and similar. They have similarities and differences. And there's some really great coaches in our league. My favorite thing maybe is the atmospheres that we go into, including ours. It was a really great atmosphere on Sunday. And we've been having more fans show up, and I hope that they continue to do so. I say this to our team all the time, our success isn't linear, but we're going in the right direction. So we've had a couple of really great wins at home recently. It wasn't that way on Sunday, but we have a couple more chances at home to make sure that our season ends the way that we need it to end so that we can compete in March.
Madison Booker for Texas, obviously, is a standout player for them. What do you think you can do to limit her impact on the game on Thursday?
I think the biggest thing for me with great players is to make sure that they feel like they're under duress, right? I mean, are we going to limit her? I don't know, but she needs to feel like she's under duress the whole game. She needs to feel that she has 1, 2, or 3 people around her the whole game. We need to match her physicality. The thing about the great players in our league is that they play hard. They play really hard. So there has to be that understanding going in, like, you're not going to outwork me. We're going to play just as hard. We're going to make everything you do difficult. And then let's see what happens. Let's see how she responds to that. Let's see how we respond to it. It's fun to play against great players because they challenge you. My hope is that we challenge her just as much.
I guess the big story of the week is Mikayla's performance, and all the honors are rolling in this week. We talked about how different players handle things. How has she handled it?
She's handling it great. She's maybe one of the most humble kids that I've ever coached. She doesn't really talk about it a lot. Today we talked a lot about, I called her after the game and she was doing her homework. I did. I called her after the game. I had a couple questions to ask her. She was doing her homework. She's not the kind of kid or player that lives and dies by those things, which I think is a good thing. I also think she was deserving. And, the other thing I want to say about that is, like, we needed every single thing that Mikayla did to win that game. And those people that watch the game from start to finish will know, like, we're not going to leave her in there to break a record. We needed every single point that she scored to win the game. We needed every play that she made to win the game. We had Yana fouled out. Camille wasn't herself that day. And Mitch was in foul trouble. We were just struggling to do a bunch of things on both ends of the floor. And so Mikayla made every play on both ends of the floor to help us win the game. And there have been times during the year that other players have done the same for her, that other players like Camille and Ayanna and Mitch and Jo have showed up. So we do have a really good team. It just happened that game, Mikayla had to do all the things to win the game, and she did. And so I'm really glad that she was honored for that, and I'm just glad that she's a player that can do that. And
Has she
she's here.
exceeded your expectations? I would
Good
gotta
question.
think so.
I had high expectations.
Right.
So in terms of her impact on our team, she hasn't. In terms of her ability to handle all the things and her the way that she's built internally, I thought maybe she would struggle a little bit more in terms, how am I looking to say this? I thought maybe the transition would be a little tougher. It usually is, physically for guards and mentally for post players.
Can you compare her development to your own? You said earlier that it took you a while to.
Oh yeah, that's just because I was a butthole. That's just because I was stubborn. It wasn't because of any lack of anything else. I compare her to me in terms of her competitiveness. I see a lot of myself in how competitive she is and how hard she works, and the ways that she approaches the game in her own personal development. I see a lot of myself in her in that way. But she is much more mature than I was at her age, she has already learned a lot of the lessons that took me a while to learn. So in a lot of ways, she's better than me.
Y'all ever go one-on-one out here?
Oh, no. I have two reasons why. Number one, I can't move laterally. I have no knees. You can see that coaching. I think I watch myself on film and I like waddle along. The other is I don't play people I can't beat. Not at my age.
How about a game of horse?
Yeah, maybe. I need like 45 minutes to warm up. Yeah, maybe.
Coach, Mikayla was AP Player of the Week. It's also individual honor, but it also a big team aspect goes into that as well too. And Mikayla's been getting a lot of individual awards, but it also shows that the team is improving. It's on the national radar itself. Just how much has I know Mikayla gets the headlines and a lot of the pub, but just how much has this team's just development from since you've been here from last year even helped raise the national profile of this program and help Mikayla get all this recognition?
Yeah, and one of the reasons that Mikayla did come to school here is because she saw that we were building something special with the pieces that we already had. So Ayanna Moore getting all SEC last year, Jordan Oliver now this year being top 15 in the nation in assist to turnover ratio, the things that Camille has done, the things that that Maddie Green can come in and do, the additions of Leilani and Juice and the way that they impact our program and team. So it's easy when you look at stats or you watch a broadcast on SportsCenter to think, hey, well, we just throw her the ball every time and say, Mikayla, go. But you can't win championships like that. I know that. She's a really great player. You can't win the games that she came here to win with a one-woman show. So it was important to her to play for a really good team. And our team, the way it was currently constructed, needed a player like her to elevate our program.
Appreciate your time. Best of luck down in Austin.
Thank you, guys.